Stay in your seats. Please don't panic. We interrupt your entertainment for a shocking announcement. As of November 15th, the world will never be the same.
Pardon me, Mr. Jordan. Could I have your John Hancock?
What's going on here?
We need your help!
You heard of the Dream Team? Well, we're the Mean Team.
Ready?
Yeah!
Doc.
Yeah.
You kick it in here. You go to the hole and dominate. We on defense.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. I don't play defense.
Warner Brothers presents Jordan, Bunny.
Special delivery!
Together, they just might save the world. Space Jam. You've never seen anything like it. November 15th, get ready to jam at a theater near you.
Hey, Internet. What up? And welcome to the Jam, the Space Jam, if you will. My name is Mark F. Jones.
Sorry, y'all. Mark is ridiculous. Anyway, please, is it my turn to introduce myself?
Yes, please.
And I am Niels R.Y., aka King Monstar.
Yes, and this is Pop Culture Parenting, the retrospective podcast where we as fathers go back to the media we consumed as young men, take a look at it, dissect it, play golf with Larry Bird with it,
Yes.
and decide if we still love it and if we will share it with our kids. And if you haven't guessed, we're talking about the 1996 blockbuster sensation, Space Jam, starring, and this is how the movies build, Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny.
I thought it was Bugs and Jordan.
I think Michael has top billing. I'm pretty sure. He's not going to let a cartoon. This is 96, Michael, dog. He ain't. Come on.
This is prime cocky Michael.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think there is anyone else on the planet? Actually, that's not true. I can think of a couple people who are like, I don't care how big this cartoon character is. My name's coming first.
Kanye West.
No, there's Kanye, absolutely. But I think there's tons of people who will be like, nah, I'm not going second bill to a cartoon.
To Bugs Bunny. But they're like, Bugs Bunny's an icon. He's an American treasure. They're like, yeah, so what?
Yeah, but nah. But and let's keep it 100. Bugs Bunny's bigger than Michael Jordan. Well, actually, I don't know. 96 Bugs Bunny was bigger than Michael Jordan.
I don't know, man. Mike was everywhere. Dog, Mike
was everywhere, but Mike wasn't as big as he is now. He only won, at that point, 4 championships.
But you got to look at it like this, like, do you remember any new Looney Tunes stuff? Like, I remember just watching, like, the old 30, like, because here's the thing also, we came up in a time where all those old 1930s, 50s, 60s shorts would just come on Cartoon Network. Like, they don't do that anymore. Like, what new Looney Tunes stuff do you remember coming out in, like, the 90s?
I vividly remember how I was feeling about Looney Tunes when Space Jam came out. And wow, we just jumped into it, didn't we? We got like tons of stuff to talk about. But we'll say this and then we'll give context and do the rest of our show. So I vividly remember, so I wasn't hip on Looney Tunes like that. I mean, we all watched it growing up. Everybody watched Looney Tunes. But what I remember, my love for Looney Tunes came from Tiny Toons Adventures.
Yeah.
Like everything, like if it was Babs and Buster Bunny playing with Michael Jordan, I'd be tripping. I would have loved that movie. I mean, I love it now. So
that makes a lot more sense thinking about it, right? Like Babs and Bust. I never even thought about that once in my life. Like it should have been the Tiny Toons.
It should have been the Tiny Toons. I mean, those were our Looney Tunes.
But you know what? You gotta, and I agree with you, but you know what? You gotta get the adults in the seats, right? So you're like, oh, remember, there's Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. The gang's here. The gang's all here. You know, so and there's this black guy playing basketball.
This guy, I've seen him before. Is it Irving? Irving Johnson?
Dr. J? Wow, he's in the pictures. But
every time Larry Bird, they saw Larry Bird in there. They're like, oh my goodness, Larry the legend.
Larry the legend. So like, where do you want to start with this, man? You want to do some history?
Okay, so before we talk about Space Jam and all the things Space Jam, let's like cover some ground. We before we go into this iconic movie, we had another episode, our Black Love episode with our amazing wives, was done previously. And so yeah, Mark, just wanted to hear, you know, some things that you've heard from folks about the episode. I've definitely heard some things and just wanted to bring it to the audience, to the crew.
Yeah, man, that was a great episode. That turned out amazing. Yeah. A very like fresh and honest and just genuine conversation and learning experience. I've heard like great things, man. People were moved, they were informed. You know, they just thought that we brought a light to the whole, I don't even know what not the existence of Black love, but just like a perspective. There you go. A perspective that some people agreed with, some people never thought about. Some people say we hit the nail on the head. There were so many different, and just like all Black people and all Black culture is just a mix. We're not a hive mind. You know, we're all very different. You know what I'm saying? And our experiences, though in the grand scheme might be similar, we're very different people. And just to shine a light on love and our experiences with love and being of that community, I think touched a lot of people.
Yeah, I took away 3 big things from folks that I've talked to about the Black Love episode. Number 1, probably the most obvious thing, and the one that everyone's probably screaming into their podcast players right now, which is our wives are amazing. They probably did too good of a job. In fact, I know they did too good of a damn job, because everybody's asking me like, oh, great, can't wait to listen next month when I'll hear more about Shamel's thoughts on this or Nikki's opinion on that. I'm like, damn, all right, yeah. So they're not like the main
Yeah, they're guests.
They're guests. they're not gonna be on like all the time. So that tells me we obviously need to have them on again.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm sure there is something pop culture related that will interest one or both of them. So yes, we will have our wives on again. For all of y'all who have just demanded it, we hear you. We wanna make sure that we appease the pop cult. So yes, our wives will be on again. The second thing I heard, and you know what? I fully believe it's true. I have yet to hear one person tell me who's better than 1985 Claire Huxtable.
I mean,
and that is because there is no one better than 1985 Claire Huxtable. She was
just everything. She's the overall package of just badass. You know,
there is no one better.
You wanted to date her, you wanted to marry her, you didn't want to piss her off, and you wanted to learn from her and be held and embraced by her. Claire Huxtable, baddest woman on the planet, 1985.
Can you repeat that one more time, Mark?
Claire Huxtable, baddest woman on the planet, 1985.
Well, I will say not just 1985. I'm saying 1985 Claire Huxtable. Like that year's Claire Huxtable, that second season Cosby Show, I believe. She just epitomized beauty, excellence, grace, just power, in intellectualness. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm gonna use it for Claire Huxtable.
Use it.
Just bad, and she knew how to dress, and she just looked like she smelled good. Like Claire Huxtable, Huxtable. It's just the epitome. Like there is none better. There is none better than 1985 Claire Huxtable.
You know, you know how sometimes you go to Black people's house and it always smells like they're cooking something.
Yes.
Not at the Huxtable.
It's a constant smell of potpourri.
Yeah. and freshly bound books.
Yes. Yes, mahogany.
But
that is real. It does. It just like, if I could put what potpourri smells like, it is Huxtable's residence. Absolutely. And the last thing I got feedback wise, and then I find this really interesting. So obviously, our episode really focused on one aspect of Black love, which was heterosexual Black love. So I got a chance to hear feedback from members of the queer community, members who represent the queer community. In particular, my homie, my dog Emmanuel, who you know from New York / Louisiana. So what I did not know was that in the Black queer community, there's actually like a stigma, just like the straight Black community, about dating outside of your race. So like, if let's say a Black gay man is dating a white gay man, then like all the Black gay man's homies are like, yo, you couldn't find a brother?
Really?
I was like, man, like, this is not just in the straight, like, this is in the queer world as well. Like, we really got a stigma about dating outside of our race. And so like the examples that I've heard is, if you think about like some of the not successful, but like well-known out celebrities. So like Michael Sam's, his partner is white. Don Lemon, his partner is white. I'm forgetting of Karamo, his partner is white, or not Black. They're all their partners are not Black. So it's kind of just like a stigma of like, you know, you successful, you make it, you ain't going to date a Black partner. That just blew my mind. I had no idea that this stigma was beyond just the woman, but just like in queer relationships as well. So yeah. Black love, man. We probably gonna need to have to talk about it again because it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll touch the subject again. We'll definitely have our wives on again. They did an amazing job. Too good of a too good of a job. Nah, they did great. It was a pleasure having them on. And we're gonna look to having more guests on the podcast from all ranges and all walks of life and all, you know, just like experiences. And we're going to really try to make the show more enriching and just, you know, just bring a good perspective on everything. I'll say a little disclaimer. If we sound a little different, we are recording an episode via Skype. And so the reason why is it's hard. We're very busy. You busy, man. Nels?
You're a busier man, Mark.
Nah, I pretend to be busy, but I'm good at it. But no, like it's hard to like physically get together and record these things. But hopefully if this works out and we can figure out the bugs, we can record more episodes via Skype and bring you guys more pop culture parenting episodes frequently. So if things sound a little off or a little different, bear with us. This is our first Skype recording episode. We're trying to work out the bugs, but we're doing it for you, the fans.
The fans.
It's for you. But yeah. So
Mark, media that you have been exposing Kosi to recently. Anything new to share to the pop cult?
Anything new? Man, you know what? Not really. I think she's in a place right now where she likes what she likes. And she's watching it. She's getting really into even more and more the new DuckTales remake that's came out.
That's what's up.
That's like her when she wakes up in the morning and she's got ready for school and now we're getting ready. She'll go DuckTales. And so because it comes on, I think it comes on every morning like at 6 or 7. And so we just turn it on while we're getting ready and she'll watch DuckTales. So other than that, man, there's not really anything new that she's been into. I will say this: we are having a discussion about when we can start taking her to movies. You know, because we think she's a pretty good baby, man. She sits through stuff. We think if she's interested enough, we could get her into a movie. But I think she's a little young still. I think we got to give her a couple more months. But I don't know. Have you guys discussed that with about Ian and taking him to movies?
Oh, no, we absolutely have not, because it's not an option right now. Have you seen your nephew? This man can't sit to a 20-minute episode. You talking about an hour-plus movie? What do you... No.
No.
Unless he can run and hit something. This man is not sitting for an hour-plus movie. So, no, the RYs have not talked about Ian watching movies. That is adorable.
But, yeah, man.
You think that's a conversation.
But other than that, I mean, I have been consuming some new media. I just finished Seconds, Brian O'Malley, creator of Scott Pilgrim.
Great author.
Yeah, man, great book. So I finished that. It was really fun. If you like Scott Pilgrim, it's not the same. It's not as much action, but it's very. I love the drawings. It's in color. Scott Pilgrim, when it first came out, wasn't in color. So this is like kind of refreshing to see all the characters in color. And man, just trying to keep up with the movies that I've missed because, I'm a father, and that's about it.
Yeah, so for me, it's very similar from what you were saying with Kosi. So I have tried to, so Mark, it's been tough, brother. I have tried to get my son to watch something besides Super Y, and this brother is committed to this show. I tried Doc McStuffins, which is like one of my niece's favorite shows, and it is a darn good show. Doc McStuffins is a great show. Ian was feeling the first 5 minutes, and then he walked away. And then I tried Dora the Explorer. I mean, it's Dora. She's an explorer. She does a little pause. She looks at you, getting you to answer. And so, I'm like, Super Y is kind of similar to that. So I'm like, maybe he just needs someone to believe in him and to actually legit ask him questions so he can be interactive. And he was feeling Dora for 3 minutes, and then he walked. We try to have him watch college football. College football's back in. Used to love watching sports. This man looked at Alabama versus Duke. Alabama was smashing Duke, so I was watching it because I like to see Duke lose. Ian wasn't feeling it, walked away.
Maybe he's a Duke fan.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Did you wish that on me, Rob Burgundy?
Did you wish that on me? And so I tried to get him to watch basketball. Needless to say, nothing is working right now. So this man is very adamant about watching what he likes, which is Super Y, Sesame Street, anything Elmo, as we know. Elmo runs our households.
Six God, Elmo and Drake.
Six God, yeah, it's scary. And he does watch Barney. I will give him that. He likes Barney.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and classic Barney, he loves the songs. He loves the giant purple dinosaur. So yeah, I can only imagine the effect that Barney had on households back in the day.
Yeah. I will say real quick, have you guys heard of I think it's the Baby First channel?
No, what's that?
So it's this channel. It's basically the Baby Einstein kind of channel. And they got all these it's for young kids. I probably any kid over 2 isn't gonna watch this channel anymore. But Kosi loves that. They got just all these little. It's a lot of just visual stuff. Sometimes there's very little dialogue, or it's very simple dialogue. There's this one thing called the Color Crew, and it's just a bunch of crayons. And they they'll have a picture, and it'll be a picture of a card, and the red card's the red crown me I'm gonna color, and that's as big as it gets, but she loves it, man. And so there's a bunch of stuff on that show, and it's very simple. I think it's called Baby Sprout. Maybe that's what it's called.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That sounds familiar.
I tell you what, that is I got an hour to cook dinner. I put on Baby Sprout.
I will give it a try. We'll see what this brother likes. The West African in me is but will he become an engineer? if he listens to Baby Sprout. I need to like let that go.
yeah. No. It's good though.
Change.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, are we ready to jump into the episode?
I think we are, man.
So, like Mark said, we are going to talk about Space Jam. And just to give you all some context, we are not just talking about the movie Space Jam. We are talking about the epicness that is Space Jam. That means we are talking about okay, let me stop. The beautiful thing about Space Jam, when you're talking about 1996, is that if you mention Space Jam to anyone from our generation, you could easily be talking about one of three things: the movie, the soundtrack, and the shoes.
Hey,
so that's what we're gonna. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you respect it and call it an album? Because that's what it is.
Oh,
it is an album.
The movie, the album, and the shoes. And you're damn right. It is an album. It is a beautiful piece of art. So that's what we're going to talk about. We are going to not just talk about the movie. We are also going to talk about the album, and we're going to touch upon the shoes. I feel like sneakerheads are going to like punch their phones when we start to talk about Space Jam Jordans. Like, how could you not thoroughly explain the cutting and
the special edition jams?
How could you not? Like, they're gonna flip. But you know what? It's y'all gonna be okay. Anyways, so we're gonna cover all things Space Jam during this episode.
Do you want to do a little brief history, or do you want to just get into it, man, and just kind of start from the beginning? Or
yeah, I will quickly do some brief history, and then when we get into each part, I'll give a little bit of context on each thing. So first, I'll just talk about Space Jam in general. So Space Jam, the movie, came out November 1996. A lot of you probably know the history. So before that, Michael Jordan was making Air Jordan ads where he'd have Bugs Bunny in it and Marvin the Martian in it. And so like the Warner Brother offices were like, this looks like this could be something bigger. And so like after talking with Michael Jordan showing interest, all of a sudden they created Space Jam, the movie. 4 writers were involved in creating Space Jam. Y'all probably laughing at that because it looked like probably just one person wrote that. Nah,
are you kidding? 4 people wrote this movie?
Serious. 4 people wrote Space Jam, and I don't remember what movie they did, but like if you saw what they had written before, you would be like, oh, so what were y'all doing during Space Jam? But like what so that was the quick history, Space Jam. And so like Warner Brothers obviously poured a lot of money and resources into the soundtrack. And then Nike / Jordan brand, as you can imagine, they were just investing a lot of energy into anything Michael Jordan did, including making sure his shoes were top notch during that season, his return season, and especially during the basketball, the basketball game that was getting played against the Monstars. So that is the history of Space Jam, and I just got a couple things to say, Mark, and I'd love to hear your reaction to this. I truly believe Space Jam is a 90 kids' wet dream. Like, I mean, this thing got everything in it. You got basketball, you got Michael Jordan, you got cartoons, you got dope music, and then the golden thing that makes everything better, space.
Yeah.
Put space around. You've heard my theory, Mark. If you put space in front of anything, it automatically makes
it makes it better. Pirate, space pirate, better. You know what I'm saying? Like ghost, space ghost, better.
It makes anything better. Brownies, space brownies, cosmic brownies. It's just better. Everything, if you put this in front of anything, is better.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna touch on the history a little bit too. Like, you're right. Like this, I remember begging my parents like to take me to Space Jam. I remember cleaning the house, like just like being an extra good kid to go see Space Jam. Like dog, it was an event. Like, you did not want to be the kid who didn't see Space Jam. I don't know if that kid exists.
There were
not
some
be here.
who did not see Space Jam. There were some who did not see Space Jam when it came out in theaters. But I'm pretty sure everyone got, like, either saw clips, saw it when it came on TV, or did what they needed to do so they could not, or like let it be known that, like, or made it a point to not let it be found out that they did not watch Space Jam, because they would get roasted at school. Oh, you ain't seen Space Jam, bro? Okay.
Everything
Your
okay
parents
at
don't love
home?
you? Okay.
Everything okay at home?
You good?
You good? but I'm like I don't think people understand, like, like Michael Jordan in the 90s was everywhere. He was the biggest face. I want to say, besides Michael Jackson, who do you think was, like, more popular than Michael Jordan?
Bruh,
in the 90s.
The only person you can throw out there is Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That is
like,
his only competition.
And like, Mike, y'all don't, like...
You would
like,
have to actually... Okay, I think I have a situation. You'd have to combine Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sylvester Stallone together combined would probably, like, combat with Michael Jordan as a brain.
You know what? That's a good point, but I'm gonna throw another counterpoint back at you. You take 1996, like Little Mark, Little Nels, and it's like, oh, do you want to go meet Arnold, Sly, and Bruce Willis, or you can go meet Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan, please, Michael Jordan.
Yes, please. I don't want to meet them. I would like to meet Michael Jordan, please.
So, like, man, Michael was everywhere. Wheaties boxes, Gatorade, McDonald's, like the Bulls. If you were a kid in the 90s, the Bulls were your favorite team, and if they weren't, you were just trying to be a contrarian. Like, I'll give you this. Shaq was huge too. Shaq was, like, give him respect. He was big too in the 90s, but, like, Michael was, like, he was sports, not just basketball. He was sports.
Well, I'll say Shaq and Penny, because Penny was huge. I mean, the Magic, that team,
yeah,
they played Jordan in the playoffs, like 95, 96, 97 or so. Yeah. They were big, but, like, I think we said this in the first episode. The Bulls were, like, one of the safe things you could talk about if you were, like, regardless if you were a nerd, if you were super popular, everyone could talk about the Bulls. It was one of the safest conversations you could have at school.
You know, in the 90s, you probably had, like, inner city, like, white school counselors, and they're like things to talk about, and they have, like, printed on their hands, like, Chicago Bulls #1 circle. Like, so it's like, Tyler, how about the Bulls? Chicago Bulls?
All of a sudden, Tyler's eyes open up. He finally reveals all his deepest, darkest secrets.
And that's the beginning of Dangerous Minds.
Yes. That is how Michelle Pfeiffer reaches the kids. So, needless to say, Michael Jordan was pretty big back then. And so when we find out, and you know what, Mark, I gotta throw out there, they could have called this movie anything. They actually could have called some things that actually would have made more sense, like Toon Squad. That probably would have been, like, a more actual name of a movie. Monster Jam would have made more sense. But you know why they went with Space Jam? Because Space Jam sounds cooler.
Monster Jam. Dog, I'm sorry. I'm from now on in my life, this movie is now Monster Jam.
It would have made more sense. Monster Jam would have made more sense.
Well, but technically, they're aliens. So
Alien Jam?
Alien Jam. That doesn't have the same ring as Monster Jam.
Monster Jam. I mean, they were called the Monstars.
They were the Monstars. They were yeah, man. Yeah, like, this movie was a cultural phenomenon, and it was everywhere. Made a ton of money. I think it made almost $300 million.
A little less than 300 million, yeah.
Yeah, like,
it is by far, or not by far, but it is at the time, and I still think to this day, the most successful basketball movie of all time.
Yeah, I can't think of another one. I really can't. You might be right, man. Yeah, you might be right. But I remember. So do you remember where you were when you saw Space Jam?
No, I do not. I remember how I felt after watching Space Jam. So I'll quickly tell you the story of. I'm pretty sure I didn't go into the theaters because money. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure it was a Blockbuster night. So I hid the fact from school that I didn't watch Space Jam for like the first 3 months. I don't know how I navigated throughout school without watching Space Jam those 3 months. But like the day it came out on Blockbuster, I'm almost certain that like that's how we got it. And I kept, how you could like, I think I forgot how long you were allowed to keep a movie for Blockbuster. I renewed that sucker 3 times. Space Jam was in our house for a month.
I tell you what, if it was a new release, it wasn't long. I think that was like 1 day rental, right?
I think it was 3-day rental, or 2 day, something like that. You can have it when you can have it for more than 1 day. It was in our house for a month, and I watched it over and over and over again. Like, I loved Space Jam so much. Plus, it's like really quick to watch. And like, I don't know if I actually liked the movie, but I really liked Michael Jordan. And I really liked the soundtrack. And Bugs Bunny.
I'll say this, man. Michael tries his best in this movie. he tries his best. I'm calling Shaquille O'Neal better actor. Shaq is a better actor than Michael.
Yeah, Michael Jordan is not a good actor. He's not trash.
No,
he's just.
No.
I'm sure if you like, there are some athletes who are just made to be like in commercials.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was made to be in commercials. Tiger Woods made to be in commercials. Peyton Manning, probably one of the greatest athletic commercial folks of all time. Shaquille O'Neal's a better actor.
Yeah.
LeBron James might arguably be a better actor than Shaquille O'Neal. I've only seen him in one movie.
So let's wait on that and touch on that, because I definitely want to bring that up. But yeah, Michael does fine. If you told me like Michael Jordan was in a movie and judge him on his acting, and you showed me Space Jam, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I expected. Michael Jordan So I saw this movie, man. So I lived on a military base at the time, and so the base would get movies about a month after they'd come out, but they'd be cheap, dog. They'd be like tickets were $1, right? So I remember my parents, I was like, yo, mom and dad, because my bus would drive by the movie theater on the base going to school, and I saw the sign for Space Jam. And I would, Space Jam, mom, dad, Space Jam, please, Space Jam, take me to Space. I'll do whatever you want. I'll be the best, And so we went, and dog, we get to the movie theater, and there is a line going around the building, right? And I have black parents, so automatically I thought we were going home, because there's no way they're gonna wait in line to watch a movie, but
to watch a cartoon,
to watch Bugs Bunny play basketball, right? But we waited in line. My parents, I guess they wanted to see the jam too, the Monster Jam. They wanted to see it. and dog, we get in the movie theater packed, and this was like a old school movie theater, so it had 2 like decks. There was like the main floor, and then there was like a deck on top. Packed house, right? So the movie starts, and real quick before I get into that, this may be the one movie I've seen the most in my life. Like, I can say confidently, I don't know how many times I've seen Space Jam. I guarantee you confidently in its entirety, I've seen this movie over 15 times.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have.
This movie was on repeat in my childhood all the time. But anyway, so the movie starts, and we'll get into the start of the movie, right? So the movie starts, and we open up in it's not North Carolina, is it? in like the 70s.
Yeah, it's North Carolina. Mm-hmm.
He opened up to a young Mike, and then his dad comes out, the Paul Walker's boss from Fast and the Furious. You remember that guy? And
Yeah, I do.
And so he comes out, and young Mike's playing. He's like, "Y'all, I'm gonna be an NBA dad, and I'm gonna play at UNC, and blah 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 blah." And I'll tell you this has never happened to me in a movie ever. This movie starts, and what does it open to? I Believe I Can Fly. And dog, I kid you not, the whole movie theater broke out into song. They broke out into I Believe I Can Fly. Let's just, real quick, let's take a second. That song was everywhere, and I was going to time how long it took us to avoid talking about R. Kelly, but it's inevitable that we would have to bring up R. Kelly in a Space Jam.
I'd say it's pretty impressive that we talked about Space Jams for however long we did, and we are just now talking about
yeah.
Now, mind you, we are going to have an entire section of our podcast dedicated to the soundtrack, and I'm sure about half of that we'll be talking about I Believe I Can Fly. But yeah, man, that song was pretty big for like not just the 90s, like for the 2000s.
It was everywhere.
It was every elementary school's graduation song.
It was from 1996 to probably the year 1999. That was everyone's graduation song. It was everywhere. Like, I remember hearing I Believe I Can Fly on like pop stations and like alternative stations that never played R&B.
So I believe someone wrote down, this is actually probably a question from some of your former podcast mates, the Piff.
Ooh, what up, yo?
What up, Piff? But I believe that was what that song made R. Kelly mainstream.
Probably.
Because like, I think before that was 12 Play. You know, white people weren't really listening to 12 Play.
What about Bump and Grind? Was that before Space Jam?
I think Bump and Grind was 12 Play. Was in 12 Play. The album.
Okay.
Song Bump and Grind. Needless to say, they weren't listening to Show Me Some ID before I get in deep. Anyway, let's start talking about R. Kelly.
Yeah. Jeez. The context of that song now.
But let's start talking about the movie. There's some specific things I'd like to talk about in the movie, and just to hear your reaction to. These may sound like criticisms, but no, this is just a deep appreciation for this movie and understanding that, like, let's really think about this for a second. Mm-hmm. So I have the box score of the game. And so
yo, are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I have the box score of the game. I was just like, man, there's gotta be some crazy stats to this game.
Dog, that just shows the world we live in. Because when I was rewatching this last night, I was like, I know in the age of Reddit and Wikipedia, someone broke down the score of this game.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's
someone
amazing.
did it. Okay. And I gotta tell you, Michael Jordan scored 44 points that game. Like, let me just tell you something right now, y'all. We've seen better Michael Jordan games than what we saw on Space Jam. Like, Michael Jordan saved the planet low-key by himself. Bugs, Lola, they didn't really help that much. Tasmanian Devil only gave 4 points. Like, piss poor performance from Taz. I was expecting a lot more. He was a starter. We never even saw the brother get hurt. So, like, he clearly just, like, him and Jordan just didn't clash well because, like, Jordan just kicked him out. Because, like, Taz should have gave more than 4 points. I digress. We've seen better games than Jordan. We've seen any Game 6 in the playoff. Michael Jordan has done better than what he did in Space Jam. The flu game, when he had the black tops, red bottom J's, the Jordan 12s, that was a better game than we saw in Space Jam. And literally almost every game he has played in the Garden was better than what he did in Space Jam. We have seen better games out of Michael Jordan than what we saw out of this movie. So yeah, just wanted to throw that fact out there.
Damn. So wait, Taz only had 4 points?
Taz only had 4 points.
Damn, Wayne Knight scored a 3?
Hey, are you sure he scored a 3?
Yeah, Michael passed him the ball and the Monstars jumped on him and the ball came out and went into the basket. He was all flat.
I'm pretty sure that was a 2.
I thought it was a 3. I don't know. Maybe I'm
probably
wrong. I thought
was
it was
a 3-point range, but they may have counted it as a 2.
It counted as a 2. Okay, but
and in case you were wondering, Bill Murray, for his like 1 minute that he was on the court, 0 points, no assists, no nothing. Like he literally just tripped the dude and helped the team win.
So I'm glad you brought up Bill Murray, man, because I'll tell you what, going back and rewatching this movie, I'm actually surprised at how funny the live action parts of this movie are. Like the Bill Murray scenes, the scenes with Michael playing baseball and everyone being really nice to him. Like that stuff's actually, I remember it being funny when I was a kid, but it holds up. And like for a movie that, like, come on, like we've seen this before. Like, I don't care. Get to the Looney Tunes. You know what I'm saying? Like for a movie that, you know, we're here to see the Looney Tunes, to have the live action scenes actually be so funny. I was surprised at how well they all held up.
Even the players getting sick, the whole storyline about the players being sick, that was like fantastic.
No, I wrote that down in my notes.
Very enjoyable.
I wrote that in my notes. I was like, this is probably the funniest part of the movie. That whole montage where they're going to therapy, Charles Barkley's praying.
Yo, can I tell you my favorite scene in the movie? Yeah. And I know it's yours too. I know it may not be your favorite, but it's one that you love. Can I guess?
What?
It was when Barkley was on a random court in New York, and there were some girls playing, and he's like, "Can I play?" And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Charles Barkley!" He's on the court, and he don't know what he's doing, and the sister grabs the ball from him. She's like, "You're not Charles Barkley. Be gone. Be gone. Be gone."
Dog, I wrote. You know what's funny, dog? You know what's so funny? I wrote down in my notes. I was like, it's a '90s movie because people are playing basketball in jean shorts and flannel tops.
Yo, her eyes, I don't know if has made any other movie since Space Jam. She was acting her ass off. She was chewing up that scene. Be gone, wannabe. Be gone.
Yo, that scene was hard to watch as a kid, and it's still hard to watch. Like she just like, be gone, wannabe. You just some chump that looks like Charles Barkley. I'm like, damn,
no Charles Barkley. She meant that with every fiber of her soul.
But so real quick, so when the movie starts, right, when we finally get into it, Michael's retired. This takes place after Michael Jordan retires from the first time from the NBA. Now let me ask you something, man. You know a little bit more about sports history than me. Yes. Did Michael first retire because of gambling issues?
No. Well, okay, so that's the rumor. The rumor, well, there's several rumors around why Michael retired for the first time. One is, Michael is extremely competitive dude. And he was a known gambler. So people were like, he was avoiding having to deal with loan sharks and this, that, and the third. What's widely known and what is perceived to be the truth is that, so the other rumor is that he was physically exhausted and like his body needed a break from the wear and tear of like playing. He was literally playing like 2 seasons because he played the regular season and played the postseason back to back to back. Yeah. I mean, like everybody remembers the 6 championships, but like Jordan was in the playoffs a whole long time before he was winning championships.
Exactly.
And like he was losing to Detroit over and over again. Mm-hmm. So like he was playing long seasons, and so like it was doing damage on his body. But the reason that he has shared with everyone is when his father passed away, he was like, well, I always wanted my dad to see me play baseball. Baseball is my second love. It just didn't seem real. That's why everyone's been thinking about all these other things. But that's why he left. And it was like literally just a year. He came back 95 when the Bulls were in the playoffs to kind of bring them back. And then he went crazy. Won 3 more championships.
So that's where the movie takes place. That's kind of where it actually starts. After that, and I timed it, dog. The opening credits is 3 minutes. It's a Michael Jordan highlight reel. Like it's ridiculous.
And it could have went for 5 more minutes, and we would have been fine.
It's ridiculous how long that is. But because we open to Michael retiring, and then and then we get journeyed into space, the space of this movie, where we have Danny DeVito, who plays Swaghammer, I think is the name.
Yeah, something like that.
And he's running this theme park, and they need a new attraction. I need new stuff for my space park. And so they decide to get the Looney Tunes. And he sends his goons down to Earth. And apparently the core of Earth is Toon World.
Well, where did you think it was, Mark? Of course, the core of our Earth is what leads to different dimensions.
Yeah, man.
The Looney Tunes place. I'm sure if they made a right, it would have gone to Disneyland
or hell.
Or hell.
But
sharp turn.
But it's funny, man, because when this movie came out, like I said, I was on board when I saw the preview, but I was like, why the hell are they playing basketball? I was like, why? Because I don't know. I don't remember seeing the Monstars in the trailer as a kid. Do you?
Oh yes, I do.
You do? Okay.
Remember them? Yeah.
I don't think I remember seeing the Monstars before I saw this movie, but I may just be remembering it wrong. But that's how we get Michael Jordan in this movie, because the Looney Tunes are like, oh, these guys are small. How can we beat them? Oh, let's challenge them to basketball. And these aliens steal the talent of NBA players. And dog, did you notice when they first steal the talent from Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing? Did you notice who was sitting next to him in the trench coat when they went to the game in the trench coat?
I knew it was a lady, but I don't remember who the lady was.
So the lady, I think she's from Everyone Loves Raymond.
Ah,
but the guy next to her,
wife?
Yeah, but the dude next to her is Dan Castellaneta, voice of Homer Simpson.
Oh,
yeah. But
if y'all didn't know, Mark has not a fascination. No, it's a fascination with voice actors. So he just knows and can like pinpoint voices and voice actors and stuff like that. So that
I'm a love of cartoons, man. But I just bring it up, man, because I wrote down a note. We were doing this thing in the 90s in movies where we thought all you had to do was wear a hat and a trench coat and no one would notice you. That was the thing that the Ninja Turtles did it. These aliens did it. I'm pretty sure some like Denver the dinosaur or someone did it.
I'm pretty sure that speaks more towards New York back in the 90s than it does anything else. Like you would just see a cast of characters and be like, you know what? This is just the city. Just the Big Apple.
You know what? I'm just trying to make it home. Like,
just don't touch me.
Who gives
touch
shit?
My things.
There's a 6 foot turtle in a trench coat. I'm just trying to make the L train home.
So, Mark, there was one thing you brought up that I gotta talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta talk about the scouting report from the Moron Mountain folks, the Monstars.
Yeah.
So look, this is 1996. Charles Barkley is probably one of the best power forwards out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely makes sense. I think he won MVP either like a year or two before that. His one MVP. Charles Barkley absolutely gonna steal that man's talent. They called him a killer. He was known. We all love Charles Barkley now, but nobody messed with Charles Barkley back in the day when we were growing up. He was not seen as like the nice guy. He was seen as like a beast. In fact, this was probably the only time we saw a nice version of Charles Barkley was in Space Jam.
Yeah.
And Patrick Ewing, the Jamaican monster, like the brother. We all, I mean, especially if you're from the DMV, you know him from Georgetown. Played in the Garden. Like, Patrick Ewing is like an amazing center, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Easily. Everyone knows and respects him.
Easily.
I have no issues with those two players.
Okay. I think I know where you're going. Okay.
And you know what? Grandmama Larry Johnson, great. He's great.
Yeah.
He was very good. He averaged 20 points back in the day. He was from UNLV. I can understand why you think you need to get you a Larry Johnson. Maybe you just need to have a versatile small forward. Cool. Awesome. I'll give you Larry Johnson.
Okay. All right.
Why the hell? Why the hell did you pick up Muggsy Bogues, bruh? Why the hell did you pick up Sean Bradley? Do you know what Muggsy Bogues' points per game were back in the day? It wasn't over 5, Mark.
Really? It was that low?
I mean, Muggsy Bogues had some good seasons.
Yeah.
But Muggsy Bogues went. Look, okay. Mark, I know you know this. Just name one other point guard in the 90s that was really good.
Fuck the 90s. Penny
Hardaway. Great job, Mark. Awesome. Great job. And you know what? He ain't even in the top 5 when we're talking about that. Penny Hardaway ain't even in the top 5. He may be number 5.
So you know what? All right. I see where you're going. Right? Like, why did they pick these people? So that brings up.
Mark, it's not even why did they pick these people. They should not have picked Muggsy Bogues and Sean Bradley.
Well, look.
Thomas, Gary Payton.
Look.
John Stockton.
Here's the thing.
Muggsy Bogues? Oh my goodness.
Here's the thing. You got to think, did they work backwards with this movie, right? Did they draw these monsters and be like, who do these guys look like? Because I'll tell you what, man, I had a kind of a Mandela effect with this movie because I swore the green dude was Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp? Why would you not have Sean Kemp on your team? Sean Kemp looked like a monster.
Yo, for the longest...
You didn't have to animate nothing. You just put Sean Kemp in a Monstars jersey, give him the ball, and be like, play Michael Jordan. He would have been like,
play Michael Jordan with these cartoon characters, Sean Kemp.
You telling me I don't care if you saw 10 minutes of NBA highlights. You telling me you're not trying to steal Sean Kemp's talent?
Hey, you know what they did? So they're like, all right, we're gonna take everyone's talent, all right? And Sean, you just put on this green makeup.
Yes. Sean, you just go out there. Actually, you know what? Don't even worry about the skin. We'll just do a different filter. We'll figure it out. Just go ball, Sean.
But no, like for the longest, I swore Sean Kemp was one of the players that they took their talent. I went through like a decade of life thinking that he was in this movie. But no, I feel you, man. It's crazy because there's no Scottie Pippen in this movie. You know, apparently Steve Kerr is uncredited, but he's in it. I don't ever remember seeing him.
Me neither. I mean, maybe when like there was like a scene in like a press conference of him coming back or something, he was in a Bulls uniform or something. They may have shown Steve Kerr, but I didn't see Steve.
Yeah.
I didn't see Scotty. Look, okay, and so my other criticism is Bugs Bunny.
All right.
Bugs, first of all, you don't need nobody's help to be anybody. You are Bugs Bunny. You don't need anybody's help. You probably have the wettest 3 since, like, you probably have a wetter 3 than Steph Curry. Let's keep it 100.
You think Bugs can ball?
Bugs Bunny can do everything. I have literally seen this man be a doctor. I have seen him be a mailman and then turn around and be like an inventor and like create something. Like the man can do anything.
But let me ask you this: Can Bugs ball? Like if they stole the talent of like a bunch of Tim Duncan's very fundamental players, could Bugs ball? But if like because the Monstars, no matter who talent they stole, they were some ballers. Like they were like they went from
3 out of the 5 of them were ballers.
But no. Like I'm gonna chalk it up to like space magic, right? Because for whatever reason, those little slug aliens turned into like straight up bruh like they was like, dog, they went from like, hey, we're working for Danny DeVito, like, all right, yo, we playing the basketball today. like
for real.
night and day. And it's kind of offensive when you kind of go back and you think about it.
Yeah, they're like, damn, you really got blacker.
You got
that NBA talent. You just are really big and black there.
You just a bunch of black.
So my second thing with Bugs is you picked the one person in the NBA. You picked the one person who is not actually playing in the NBA anymore. And you just picked one person. Like, were you in that big of a rush? You couldn't pick Scotty?
Well, hey, you know what? You bring up a good point, man. And when I was watching this movie, I'm like, yo, how long is Michael Jordan gone for? And Bill, look, this whole movie, I mean, when we break it down, anything looks stupid. But dog, you have Larry Bird and Bill Murray playing golf with Michael Jordan, who gets sucked into the ground, and they leave him. They just leave. They just leave. They just like, well, Michael Jordan's dead, so what are you doing today, Larry?
Just slowly walk away. Hey, that actually seems kind of realistic. What they gonna do?
I mean, I you know what? You
want that on your hands? The disappearance of Michael Jordan?
I'm not gonna lie, man. If I was playing golf with Michael Jordan and he got sucked into a hole, I would act like nothing happened because that murder is gonna be pinned on me anyway.
On you. Nah, I'm moonwalking out there.
But I was thinking, I was like, yo, Michael is away from his family. He's away from his team. Dog, do you know what would happen in 1996 if Michael Jordan went missing for 24 hours?
World War III.
Like, and he's just gone, and everyone's just like, eh?
there would be chaos and torture. Their heads would roll if Michael Jordan was gone for over 48 hours.
So, you know what? We haven't talked about, the main reason why I saw the movie when I was a kid, and you brought it up, the Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Like I said, American icons, man. What's your relationship with the Looney Tunes, like just in general? And
yeah, so at that time, like around, I think we were like around 10 around that time. I wasn't like a huge Looney Tunes fans. I obviously had seen the cartoons growing up. Loved Bugs, loved Daffy, like loved the Elmer Fudd, the Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunners. Those were hilarious. I think around that time there was like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner TV show where we get to see some of those old cartoons. Those are great, but like those weren't the Looney Tunes that I loved. The ones that I loved around that time were Tiny Toon Adventures, was Babs and Buster Bunny, like was that whole show that came on. Like that's where my love for Looney Tunes came from like that whole crew and that whole TV show. Yeah,
I'm with you, man. Like Looney Tunes, it was just something that like I don't even remember the Looney Tunes being introduced to me. It's just like I just grew up knowing who Bugs Bunny and all those guys were. Because like I said, a lot of those old shows were in syndication when we were in that age. I remember like I think at night before like Adult Swim and Space Ghost Coast to Coast started, I think at night on Cartoon Network, that's all they played was like old Looney Tunes stuff from like 9 p.m. till 5 in the morning or whatever. They just played like old Hanna-Barbera, old Warner Brothers. So like I just knew these characters, and like I'm with you. I watch Tiny Toons and I love Tiny Toons. So anything with them in it or relating to that, I'll use the word universe now. I was there. Give me my money. I mean, shut up and take my money. You know. The voice acting in this, like, I go back and listen to it, man. So Billy West was voicing Bugs Bunny, and for those who don't know, Billy West played everyone in Futurama. He played the Professor, Fry, Zoidberg, Zap Brannigan. He was Ren.
Zap Brannigan?
Yeah, he was Zap too. He was Ren and Stimpy. He was Doug and Roger. Yep. You know, like so Billy West is a legend in the game, but I think, and I don't know the history. I think this was the time where Mel, what is the gentleman's name? Mel Blanc, the guy who used to do Bug's voice. You know, he probably passed away, and I think we were at a time where they were trying to find a replacement because the voices in this to me sound a little off.
They are off.
They just don't sound honed. Like Bugs doesn't sound really honed. Daffy doesn't really sound honed. Everyone else is like pretty straight. Like Porky sounds fine. Elmer sounds fine. But Bugs and Daffy sound really off this movie. And it's just going back, listening at it. I think they were just, Warner Brothers was just trying to figure out who was going to fill this hole. You know?
Yeah.
That's my theory. I don't know the history, but that's my
well, I've heard a little bit of the history, and I think you're absolutely right. I think there's probably like some more like bad blood between some other voice actors as well too. But I think what you're saying, there was definitely a gap that needs to be filled, and it did sound a little bit off to me from like listening to it recently. I even remember back in the day, I'm like, that's not Bugs is acting different, but like. It actually wasn't him acting different. It was him sounding different.
He just it just doesn't sound not even genuine is the word I want to use. But no, the Looney Tunes. Other than that, I think the Looney Tunes are pretty on point. This whole movie though, like they're pretty damn funny.
Yeah, man. Did you catch the pop? What's it called? The Pulp Fiction little scene between the two shooters.
Dog. So. Yes. Okay. Let me talk about that because when that scene happened in the movie, I didn't know what Pulp Fiction was because I was 10 and I had no business being near a Quentin Tarantino movie. But my theater erupted. Like everyone lost it. And I think it's safe to say, like going back and looking at it, Pulp Fiction was everywhere in the mid to late 90s. It was a cultural phenomenon. And I like the fact that it made Space Jam. Probably a lot of like adults were just loving that. You know, it's a funny scene. Even not knowing what Pulp Fiction was when I saw it, it cracked me up.
I mean, it was the two shooters shooting, the two shooters, the Looney Tunes shooting together. Like it was perfect. That's exactly what they should be doing.
Would not happen in today though. Like.
I will say, like, when looking at that game, they pretty much got the accuracy of how 1996 basketball looked. There was a lot of fouls. They were straight up punching and hitting and kicking and shooting and trying to kill each other. That's what it looked like in the 90s.
The refs let them play.
Marvin is a trash referee, by the way.
Dog, he's the worst.
He swallowed that whistle the whole game. There was no free throws. Let me look at the box score.
I don't think there was any foul shots the whole game.
There was no fouls called. Zero fouls called.
No text. Like dog, it gets to a point where the Toon Squad starts catching up, and the Monstars just straight up start fighting. They just start. Like when the game first started, you could be like, "Oh, they're getting away with it. They're just playing rough." They like crush them, dog. They just start wrecking,
and they literally just start killing them. They don't have 5 active players. Bill Murray got to come out of somewhere. They done beat up the entire Looney Tunes like franchise.
The scene that really got to me, man. And even as a kid, it kind of like hurt me when Michael goes to the bench and all the injured people are on the bench. Dog, have you rewatched? Dog, Sylvester's head is decapitated. It's laying on his lap. His head is laying on his lap. Speedy Gonzalez is in a mousetrap, and his neck is caught in a mousetrap.
I didn't notice those two things.
Dog, Foghorn Leghorn, he's the chicken with the IV pumping blood into like the cooked headless, footless chicken.
Oh my god!
And Tweety Bird is in
that's
the
one that gets me. Tweety Bird in the iron lung. That's what like just has me weak. So I surpass all those other ones, and I see this giant iron lung, a little small big head Tweety Bird, and I'm like, damn, y'all did Tweety Bird like that.
It's dark, but like It's so funny. And dog, you talk about like the lineup and the box score. Like, I'm sorry, man. Okay, we got to let the Looney Tunes play. Did you see that crowd? Do you know how many like C-list Looney Tunes would have made better players than fucking Tweety Bird? He has no business being on the basketball court. That's on Michael. That's on Michael. That's Michael's fault. He's the coach. Those injuries are on Michael Jordan.
Michael was like, yo, y'all pick whoever else. We gonna win this game because I'm playing.
Dog, you know how many huge, strong Looney Tune like C-listers are? You remember that big red monster with the sneakers that would always be chasing
balls? Yeah, he would have balled.
Yeah, he got sneakers. This man was rocking sneakers.
He would have balled. Yeah, he should have definitely made the cut.
And you got Tweety Bird on the court.
Yeah, Tweety Bird probably shouldn't have played.
That's on Michael, man.
I think Tweety Bird actually scored a few points. Let me look back at the box score. Tweety.
Oh my god.
Nah, Tweety Bird didn't score any points. My bad.
I didn't think so, man. But you know what you said, because I know we got to get into the soundtrack and the shoes. But
yeah,
you did say like this movie is a breeze. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
This movie is a quick. What is it, like 90 minutes?
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely an hour and 30 minutes, something like that. So
yeah, and I'll tell you what, I think the last 20-30 minutes of this movie is just the Space Jam.
It's just the actual game, yeah.
Which even in movies now, sports movies, I highly doubt they dedicate like the last 30 minutes of the movie to the big game or whatever. But yeah, man, this movie was a classic in the sense of everyone saw it, everyone at the time loved it.
Mark, there's one other thing about the movie I want to talk about before we move on to something else.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Mike's secret stuff. Bruh, I kid you not. I know it was water. I saw Bugs put water into the water bottle. And to this day, I'm like, yo, I need to get me some Mike's secret stuff. And you know what? I think that helped 10-year-old Niels understand why people take steroids. When I saw Bugs Bunny get super jacked and all of them play outrageous, I was like, oh, that's why people cheat.
That's why Jordan's amazing.
That's why you're telling me I can take this magical thing and then I can be as good as Michael Jordan. That's why they do it.
Yeah. When the scene when the scene when Daffy asked Mike, he's like, "You got any more of your secret stuff?" And Mike's like, "I didn't have any secret stuff." I'm like, "No, dog, just give them more water. Just go get more water."
What's wrong with you, Mike? And he never does it.
Just give it to him. Yo, real quick before we move on, a couple things when I go back and watch this movie, dog. I hate the body horror in this movie. It makes me uneasy even when the Monstars first grab Mike and they like contort him into that like human basketball meatball. Dog, that disturbed me as a kid. It still disturbs me watching it. I don't like it. I don't need it in Space Jam. Take it out. I hate Michael stretching his arm like Luffy from One Piece. I hate it. I don't like it. I never liked it as a kid.
How many episodes did we go before you mentioned One Piece? and you didn't go super hard. You just like casually dropped it in when referring to Space Jam. Mark, you bastard. You just casually put in One Piece. I'm gonna acknowledge. Okay, I'll stop.
Hey,
we got a show to do, but interesting. All right.
But one thing that I found really funny looking back on it. So when this movie ends, they're at Michael's basketball game with his kids and his wife. Do you recognize her, by the way?
She was the same. Hold on. So, all right, we're going to edit this because I'm actually thinking, because I definitely know where I've seen her before.
Can I give you a hint? She's the wife in Spawn.
She is the wife in Spawn. Are you sure she's the wife in Spawn?
I'm pretty sure that's her.
I'm fascinated that you picked up Spawn, but you did not pick up Bad Boys.
We'll talk about Spawn.
And I know exactly why.
One day we will talk about Spawn, and it's. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
But no. So, dog, when you go, they're at the game, and Michael's kids are there, and hey, fun fact, those aren't his kids, obviously, but they have the same names as his children in real life. But so, this is another thing. 1996, dog. 1996. Michael Jordan has been missing for, let's say, 24 hours to 48 hours. In 1996, Michael Jordan showing up at a minor league baseball game in a UFO. The world is ending. Like Michael Jordan is the new overlord. He's the president. The greatest, like we said, the most famous person on this planet other than Michael Jackson comes out of a UFO to play minor league baseball.
A cartoon UFO.
People are losing their minds, dog. And like this movie just is like, hey, Michael's back.
I wonder, I hear you, Mark, and like I agree with you. I truly do. But like if we just switched it up and was saying it was Michael Jackson coming to a concert in a cartoon UFO, would it seem that weird?
No.
It wouldn't seem that weird.
It wouldn't.
So if we were like, it's not that weird that Michael Jackson's doing it, Michael Jordan, we're probably just like, wow, Michael really got a lot of money from that Nike campaign.
Dang, man, he even got cartoon private jets.
So, with that rationality, I think we probably would have just been like, wow, he's so cool. Instead of, what is going on?
This is a world post Independence Day.
Oh wow, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah, we be losing our mind. But so do you want to get into the soundtrack?
All right. So, quick history about the soundtrack to everyone. So the album. This album is certified 6 times platinum. 6 times platinum. We get R. Kelly. We get Seal in the height of his soundtrackness.
Yeah.
Seal
yes.
just had made Kiss from a Rose the year before.
Seal, dog, I'm pretty sure, I'm not up to date with Seal's discography, but I'm pretty sure this and Kiss from a Rose and this man has never had to work another day in his life. Everything else is bonus.
Can you name another Seal song? Give me one. Give me one, Mark. Give me one other Seal song.
Dog, I'm convinced because like it'd be so funny. I'd be watching stuff and people be like, yeah, Seal was seen in New York. I'm like, why are people still talking about Seal? Space Jam was years ago.
Seal was married to Heidi Klum. This man, I can't name any other Seal song. And he married one of the biggest supermodels of all time. Because of the songs. Not his album. 2 soundtrack songs.
Oh, man. Oh.
It's still ain't good looking, brother. I don't know what's going on in his face. I don't want to talk about him. But like the strength of his two songs from music albums got him Heidi Klum.
It was the 90s. It was the 90s. You had to be there.
So this soundtrack, and we'll get into it. This soundtrack had everything. It had love songs. It had hip hop. It had everyone big in the night. Not everyone, but a huge whole bunch of folks in the 90s.
Big names. Big names.
And like, it was a soundtrack. Like, I know people who never or who don't remember the movie that well, but everyone remembers this soundtrack. Yeah. And everyone loved this soundtrack. Album. And I'm pretty sure everyone owned this soundtrack in some shape or form.
You're still calling it a soundtrack. Album, please. No.
Excuse me. The album. The album. This album, I don't remember an album before this, a soundtrack before this, that was as big as Space Jam. I can remember several after that like came up and they were pretty big. I can't remember a movie that had a soundtrack this epic before then.
I remember hearing a lot of people talk about, and this is because it was a baby boomer's wet dream. The Forrest Gump soundtrack being played a lot. I remember seeing that in stores a lot, on a lot of shelves, but I think that was just like a bunch of hits from like when baby boomers were kids, and that's why that was so popular.
So it's kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy type of soundtrack.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I'm with you, man. I don't remember any like movie soundtrack. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something into the 80s or something out there, but I can't think of one that was like just so popular. And it's not even like popular, but respected. Like songs from Space Jam were being played on 93.9.
Yeah,
like,
that is the hip hop station in DC. In case
you know what I'm saying? Like a movie starring Bugs Bunny is being played on hip hop and R&B stations. We're not
overreacting. Like go and look at the album and look at the songs, and you'll be like, that song was on Space Jam? Yeah, that song was on Space Jam. Like this album was fire. There isn't a bad song on here. There may be some funny songs, but there isn't a bad song on this album.
Look, I'm just looking at the album list right now, right? Fly Like an Eagle was everywhere. And I still hear Fly Like an Eagle, Seal's version, in commercials today.
I have yet to hear. I'm sure I heard, because my mom used to work at Denny's, the original Fly Like an Eagle. Mm-hmm. Seal took that.
Yeah, it's his song. It's his now. The song Space Jam was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like the actual song Space Jam was everywhere. And real quick, Hit 'Em High. Bro, first, let me just say a little fun fact. I performed Hit 'Em High at my 4th grade talent show.
Wow. Which
I did them all. It was like the end of the year talent show, right? And they were like, who wants to be in the talent show? And I signed the list. And they called my name, and I brought my Space Jam CD up.
Oh, God. Okay, please.
I brought my Space Jam CD up. I put it into the boombox. I pressed play. I went to track 5, and I...
Oh, God.
And I started rapping, and dog, I didn't win, but I had the crowd.
You didn't win the show, but you won the crowd.
I won the crowd. Dog, I had teachers banging their head. They're like, ooh.
Was that your Goofy movie moment, Mark?
Yes, that was my max. That was my max after today Roxanne moment. Oh man.
You know, I believe it. That's awesome.
That song Hit 'Em High. I remember seeing that video on BET.
Yeah. Do you know how long it took? I'm ashamed to tell you how long it took me for me to realize that was a part of the Space Jam, like the movie.
Really?
Yes. I just thought it was like a dope MC, like LL. I thought it was part of LL's like just random album.
You know what the crazy thing about this album is? You could erase Space Jam and replace this album with the soundtrack to either Above the Rim or For Love and Basketball or He Got Game, and it would still work.
But it would. The only one you'll be wondering about is like, why is Bugs Bunny rapping at the last track?
That's yeah. At the end of He Got Game, you're like, oh man, Jesus Shuttleworth, man, he was the truth. But that was really weird that Bugs Bunny just started rapping in the middle of the game.
But you know, it's Warner Brothers. Maybe they produced it, and maybe they just wanted something. Commercials, money. You could have rationalized it.
Hey, apparently, and I want to ask you your favorite tracks on the album, but apparently Jay-Z is a writer on Buggin'. The Bugs Bunny.
Well, that explains why
it flows.
Billy West was flowing his ass off. I don't know. Y'all probably don't remember this. Y'all probably are like, man, I'm sure this track wasn't that good. Nah, y'all need to go listen to Bugs Bunny. That man was rapping. He was spitting. He was spitting bars. Like,
hey, Michael, over here, superstar.
He called Michael Jordan a ball hog. Y'all need to go listen to that track. It was fire. It was flame.
Dog, but what was like? I'll tell you real quick. On my repeats were "Hit 'Em High," "Fly Like an Eagle," "I Believe I Can Fly," and I really loved "Basketball Jones," the very right Chris Rock.
Yeah. That was a good track though.
and Buggin'. Those were like my favorite tracks.
I mean, for me, it was definitely "I Believe I Could Fly." It was definitely "Hit 'Em High." Like, I mean, "Hit 'Em High" was that was just like one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. And they're all spit, dog. No one on that song has a bad verse. I'm gonna say.
I mean, who? Be Real? And like, he was spitting fire.
Dog. Okay, who in your opinion has the dopest verse on him? Yeah. Okay. All right. We can move on.
To me, it was like it was like LL. Once I heard him out, and you know what? I was gonna ask you this because I think growing up, to me, Meth had the best verse. And then like as an adult, and I'm listening, I was like, oh, what was I smoking? No. LL killed it.
Here's the thing. You could remix this song, take out Meth's verse and put it in any 90s song and just like copy and paste it, and it would crush, right? Everyone else is kind of like dedicated to the Space Jam, but I tell you what, Coolio's, the way his verse starts, it goes. But you're right. Because Coolio's, the verse is right. It's like inch by inch and step by step, I'm cruising into your position and destruction is our mission.
Fire.
And dog, but you're right. LL Cool J, dog. Lightning strikes the court, lights get dim. Supreme competition is about to begin. I'm about to go listen to it right now.
I have a theory. So this is. Could you imagine whose job it was to share with Michael Jordan? They're like, all right, so Mike, here is the Monstars theme song. When they come out to the court, this is what they're going to be coming out to. And they play "Hit 'Em High." And Michael Jordan's just sitting there. And he's like, okay. He hears LL's verse. And he's like, okay. He hit him with a straight face. And he's like, I bet, cool. All right. So what we coming out to? What's the tune squad coming out to? And some brave soul has to play "Fly Like an Eagle" from Seal. It's Michael Jordan. He's like, this is y'all's coming out song.
Yo, this is your highlight song, dog.
Oh my goodness. Like, who did that? Like, Michael Jordan could not have known.
Yeah. No, because
I would have known that was going to be the Monstars theme song.
Because I'm telling you what, if I was in this movie, if I was Michael and I hear "Hit 'Em High," I'm like, oh, that's my song. Right? Yeah. That's my song, right?
And you got to change LL's verse out. He ain't talking about
change everything. Yeah. But I mean, I was hoping to avoid it, man, but "I Believe I Can Fly." This movie almost got away scot-free, but you have a monster on your soundtrack. And
in case y'all don't know, R. Kelly is, I think it's not even just like alleged. I think it is now confirmed that he is like a serial, what's it called? A pedophile.
Yeah,
like,
and just all around supervillain. Yeah.
It's and it has been said from several women that he has used their sexual experiences to shape his songs. Mm-hmm. So like when you're talking about like bump and grind, when you're talking about like some of your favorite R. Kelly songs, it has been influenced by some of the sexual experiences he's had with some of these women. Now, I didn't watch the R. Kelly documentary. I kind of don't enjoy spending my pastime listening to people's like traumatic and horrific experiences. But it really shapes like what a lot of us had kind of thought was going on. Mark, I don't know if you thought, but like we all kind of knew that R. Kelly was hooking up with little girls. It was like a thing in our community we were just like aware of, especially because we all knew he was dating Aaliyah. Like it was obvious to us that he was dating Aaliyah.
Well, the thing is, like the Aaliyah thing, like I remember hearing about it, but I wasn't that invested in like celebrity culture that much when around that time, and I didn't even know how old Aaliyah was. I was just like, oh, they're dating, whatever. I got Pokemon to play, you know. So, you know,
got to evolve into a Charizard, yeah.
But I remember when the first video that leaked, I remember being like, yeah, that looks like R. Kelly. That's him. He's a pedophile, and it took 10 more years for everyone to like, I guess, agree. You know,
how much do you think it was because of this song? How much do you feel like this song was like, I do not want to see any bad from this guy?
I'll tell you what, man, because we've talked about this. I've to make some context, I've never invested like my moral standing or what I think or how I feel in my, like, I guess, celebrity idols. So whenever they fall from grace, I'm just like, well, that sucks. I don't have any stake in that fight because I don't invest who I am and who they are and what they represent.
Yeah.
But I can put myself in the shoes of someone who I believe I Can Fly got them out of a hard time, a hard situation, a hard divorce, a loss in a family, and the man who created that song is a monster. I can understand you trying to come to terms with the man who made a song that probably saved your life. Is one of the more horrible people on this planet, and that's probably hard.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that's probably a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Now, just think for an entire world, because like, let's assume something, bro. Like, I believe I can fly. And I'm sure there's like a handful of folks who like that was their song to help them through a tough time, to like, and like you said, save their life. I'm almost positive of it. Mm-hmm. The entire world for almost 10 years relied on this song to like aspire to another place.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not like, for those of you who haven't heard this song before, all four of y'all, like, this song was that big of a deal. This song is still a big deal. So I work in education, and almost anytime we're having some type of graduation ceremony, it still to this day comes up as like a song that we play, and we have to have like a 10-minute conversation about should we play this song, knowing full well the person who made this song. Because we're like, yeah, I get it, but this song means this to so many people. Yeah.
And you know what, man, and not to get off the topic, and this is probably an episode in the future, you and I have talked, and it's like, where does your fandom start and like the ownership end? Like, just because someone who made something is a horrible person, does that mean I can no longer enjoy or get anything out of that? Like, and I think you hit on a good point. I Believe I Can Fly does not belong to R. Kelly. I don't care. He might have made it. He might have wrote it. That song is ours. The people who grew up with that song, that is our song. And it's weird to be in a place where it's like, well, because he did something wrong, that's no longer yours. And I think that's what happens to a lot of pop culture when these things come out. And I'm not saying I have an answer for it, but I think it's an interesting place to be in.
You know, it would be really interesting if we just got someone to cover I Believe I Could Fly and kill it. I think everyone's afraid to cover it though, because they can't do it like R. Kelly did it.
So let me ask you this. Space Jam 2, if R. Kelly, if this whole thing about R. Kelly never happened, obviously this song would be like the overture in the next Space Jam movie. Like, I Believe I Could Fly would definitely be in Space Jam 2. It's not going to be in Space Jam 2 because of who it's associated with. do they get away with it by doing a cover, or do you just stay clear of this song?
Oh, Hollywood's going to see so many dollars making a remake of that song. Like it's if I was Hollywood, I would make a remake and claim it and have someone else that we trust to make that song and hope that they can deliver on it.
They're gonna go the complete opposite way. So like I believe I can fly 2021 Ed Sheeran. You're damn right.
We didn't even mention Monica. We didn't even mention Monica. All right, yeah. So For You I Will is great. Anyways, last but not least, Mark, of our topics when it comes to Space Jams, we got to talk about the Jordan 11s, the Space Jam Jordans, the Black Concords, the Monstars, the most, some would argue, the most coveted Jordans on the planet, the Space Jam Jordans.
I will say until, and I agree with everything you said. I want to say until Into the Spider-Verse came out, the Jordan 11s didn't have a competition when it came to like representing pop culture and just like that sought after Jordan. I think the ones are pretty sought after now, those black, white, and red ones. But yeah, you like these shoes were like, I gotta have them.
It's a little scary how, I mean, so like neither Mark and we are not sneakerheads. I don't know how much you dive into the sneaker world, Mark. I am 2 steps away from being a addicted sneakerhead. I'm like 2 purchases and a failed marriage away from being a sneakerhead. So like I need to make sure that like I don't go on Nike.com, right? Yeah. Like I need to stay away from it because like I was a kid in middle school who would spend hours on eBay, on Nike.com, on Reebok, on like looking at NBA Jam just to see if they got the shoes right. Like I was like that kind of kid. Mind you, the shoes are all the same shoes on NBA Jam. That's how ridiculous it is. So like I was that kind of kid. I was like press over it. So I'm not a sneakerhead, but like I was close to being a sneakerhead. I was like maybe 2 paychecks away from being a sneakerhead. I digress. When I tell you how like fanatic folks would get about the Space Jam Jordans, I hate to like make this sound like morbid, but if you were growing up in some of the neighborhoods that we grew up in and you had Space Jam Jordans on your feet, you were asking to get your ass kicked. And
you were a target. You were a target.
Yeah, like you would not walk home with your J's on. Like that is just, it would be a death wish for you to walk in some of our neighborhoods with some Space Jam Jordans on, because you would not go home with those Jordans. Unless you were packing or unless you had a crew with you, you would not be going home with those Jordans on.
I remember going to like someone was having like a party or something. When I lived in Arlington, I was going with a friend. I went over to his house and he was a sneakerhead. And I had a couple pairs of shoes, but I never became like a sneakerhead. But I went over to his house and I forgot where we were going, but he had the 11s and he took them out and I kind of looked at him and he looked at me and we were like, don't wear those. Like, I was like, don't wear those. He's like, yeah, I'm not wearing these. Because dog, it was real, man.
Everyone needs a friend like you, Mark.
No, like I was like, dog, don't wear those just because where we're going, like it's not gonna be a good look. And everyone wanted the 11s, dog. And I remember everyone solely wanting the black and red 11s.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted those. And it's crazy.
Don't sell those like that anymore.
Yeah, dog, it's crazy. Like, for the longest, I didn't even know they were called the 11s. I always called them the Space Jams.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, someone was like, yo, the 11s. I'm like, what the hell are the 11s? He's like, the Space Jam. I was like, oh, well, call them the Space Jams, dude.
So Michael Jordan has gone on record and said He doesn't pick which ones of his Jordans are his favorite Jordans, but he says like the ones that he enjoys wearing the most are the 11s and the 12s. So for those of you who aren't like super versed in sneakerhead world, the Jordan 11s are some of the most like well-known and coveted J's out there. The Space Jam ones are the ones that are black at the top, black patent leather in the middle, white towards the bottom, and then the soles, the bottom parts are either like, I mean, depending on which ones you get, if you get in the OGs, they're just straight up clear, and the straight up bottoms are like Concord blue. But like, yeah, they're renowned because the Jordan 11s are one of the best Jordans out there. But the Space Jam Jordans, besides the fact that they just look pretty, like Michael Jordan only really wore them like a few times in like playoffs, like against the Orlando Magic. But like the reason that they were so coveted is because they were rare. Like they only came out for like a little bit. They came out for a movie, and they looked pretty cool. And Michael Jordan wore them a few times in basketball games, so they didn't really sell them like that. Yeah. And so everybody was like, "Well, damn! Like these shoes are ridiculous." And so what Nike would do, or excuse me, Jordan Brand would do, is re-release the J's like every 9 to 7 years or so. And so during the year 2000, they released the Space Jams again. Then 2009, they released it again. Then 2016, they released it again. And there was a span of like 7 years that every year during the holidays, Nike would release a new Jordan 11 or a new rebrand of Jordan 11. So you got the Concords. And the reason the Concords are so famous is because if you remember, this is when Jordans became like known as like more than just basketball sneakers, but like sneakers that everybody would wear. Because Boyz II Men, when they accepted their Grammy of like Song of the Year, they all were wearing Concord 11s. On stage. Like they were just like, they were like, these are our dress shoes, these Concord 11s. So like, yeah, needless to say, Jordan 11, some of the best Michael Jordan shoes, and the Space Jams were some of the rarest. And yeah, sneakerheads were just obsessed over them.
That's staple in hip hop culture, sneaker culture. Just like you couldn't. There's some aspects of like pop culture that you couldn't talk about without mentioning or associating Jordans. It was just it was the thing. It was hot. They were like, you were the man. Like, dog, you if you had some fresh J's for that moment, you were the shit. Like, if you got your respect. If someone saw you and they saw you with some fresh J's, there's like that, okay. You know?
Art, I have some questions with you. I have some questions for you about Jordans. Do you own a pair of Jordans?
So it's funny. I had one pair of Jordans in my life, and I saved up to get them. It was the 17s.
Are those the Wizards?
I got the Wizard 17s. And I remember saving up to get them. I was like, oh, they came with a suitcase. They came with an album, and Big Tigger was rapping on the album. And those are the only pair of Jordans I've ever bought in my life.
Is that the song for the time I am building my castle of love? Was that song on there? That commercial?
It was a hip hop song, man. It was like a saxophone hip hop, and Big Tigger is like rapping about Michael and Jordan shoes on the track.
He started out getting cut from varsity to national champion UNC. 6 rings, 2 gold medals, 4 MVPs. Now not many can be. Number 23, take off more times in the game than them planes from Midway or Kennedy. Back in the league, best believe y'all gon' play zone, cause you don't wanna be at the top of the key all alone. Calling for help, cause one step and now he's gone. And all that's left is the smell of sweat and the Jordan cologne. So never mind your abilities. You shut.
That's the only pair of Jordans I ever had. It's probably one of the biggest waste of money I've ever experienced in my life. They were so uncomfortable. Probably the most uncomfortable pair of sneakers I've ever had in my life. And the one other reason why I wanted them is because Michael Vick used to play in them. Do you remember that?
Oh, he did.
Perp, and he used to play in the red and white Jordan. So I wanted a pair.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'm not.
They were hella uncomfortable.
No, they were so uncomfortable. I'm not a big sneakerhead, but I tell you what, if I was gonna buy a pair of Jordans today, I want a pair of 6s. I think I get a pair of 6s and I'll be straight. I don't think I really need any other Jordans. And just my last little note, I think the 9s are ugly as hell, dog. I think the 9s and I think the 12s personally don't look that nice either. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, wow. How dare you? I just the 9s are some of my favorite style of Jordans ever. I mean, I think to this day, in my opinion, the 12s are the best.
Really?
Or 11. Then
really?
I go 1, and then I go 9. Yeah.
What? Really?
So if you were to ask me, so I own 3 pair of Jordans. I bought them all after the age of 30 because my mother is West African, and she is not spending anything more than whatever you can get. If the shoes cannot be purchased at Payless, then she is not buying them. Mm-hmm. And bless my father, he is the only reason I was able to get any Nikes in my life, because my mother did not purchase anything outside of Payless. I digress. So the shoes that I wanted my entire life, and this is a shout out to my wife who bought them for me when I got my master's degree. The shoes I always wanted were the Flu Games. Those are the black on top, red on the bottom. Those are the shoes that Michael Jordan wore during the 97 playoffs against the Jazz, when he had a flu, even though a lot of people would think he got a hungover or a stomach bug, and he crushed them with the flu. So those shoes were all over the DMV growing up. People still wearing them like crazy, and those were the shoes like I wanted my entire life, and I got them. They are the most comfortable shoes I own.
Really?
The most comfortable shoes I own. Absolutely. And yeah, those are my favorite. I do not own the Space Jams, but I do own some 11s. And they are still beautiful to this day. So if for those of you who don't fall into addiction in sneakers, I would recommend everyone get a pair of 11s. Enjoy the brand. If you're listening, you can reach out to us at popparent@gmail.com. We will gladly take your money or your shoes. So,
no,
yeah.
Hey, no bull. I'll take some free 9s if someone's gonna send them to me.
Oh, now you'll take some 9s.
If they free, I'll wear them to church.
Hilarious. All right, so now it's time for questions. Before we wrap up the show. So, Mark, I got a few questions for you. This is all around the movie and things of that nature. So, Mark, if this was a 7-game series, so in the NBA playoffs nowadays, all NBA playoff games are 7-game series.
Yeah.
So if this was a 7-game series, what do you think the outcome would have been? Who do you think would have won?
7-game series. Dog, 7-game series. The Monstars take it in game 5.
Oh, so you're saying they got the one victory? The Toon Squad got the first game, and then they get swept.
They got the one victory. The Monstars go. They watch some film, and they get swept in game 5.
I 100% agree. Actually, well, nah. Jordan doesn't have he never went beyond 6 games in the NBA Finals. So I believe because Michael Jordan is a legend, he gets 2 games on the Monstars, but the Monstars still win. So I say it goes game 6.
I'm saying that
Monstars win.
I'm saying it's going to game 5 because the way the Monstars were playing, no one's coming back from those injuries anytime soon.
As soon as Michael realizes that he can stretch his arms into like some weird contour of like stretches his body should not be able to do, I'm sure he can get like at least a 50-point game out of one of those games.
Oh man, I never thought about that. That's hilarious.
All right, next question. Was this a good movie? And I ask because if you were to watch a lot of reviews on YouTube or whatever, or some of your favorite critics out there, including the one that we like, the Nostalgia Critic, he hates this movie.
Yeah.
But he's a huge Looney Tunes fan and a huge basketball fan, so this is like not paying homage to him or whatever. But when you ask someone from our generation, we love Space Jam, and I think it's like the nostalgia of the movie itself. But like the question is this a good movie?
You know what, man? I'm gonna answer that by saying like this has no business being a movie. It really doesn't. Like when you go back and watch it, like this should have been a made-for-TV special or some type of like DVD extra when you paid extra at McDonald's or bought a pair of Jordans.
Wow.
Like,
yep.
Like, and that's if it came out today, that's what it would be. This would be like, you know, the digital download you get if you bought the new Jordans or whatever. But because there's nothing in this movie. There's no plot. There's like, dog, we go from Michael seeing the Looney Tunes. He shoots. He doesn't even practice. He takes a layup and one shot to fly like an eagle, and we're at the Space Jam. And it's
yep. That's pretty much it. You just described the movie.
And I loved it, man. I loved it. But this has no business calling itself a movie. This is just it. This whole thing should have been 30 minutes and called it a day.
I would argue if this was a like a what's it called, like a home movie or like a TV movie, it still would have been just as big as it is now. Yeah.
It I still enjoy it. I still like it. I have no problem saying that a movie, this probably isn't a good movie. It entertained me. A lot of things that aren't good entertain me. But I don't think it's a good movie, and this was a clear cash grab at the biggest things during the zeitgeist at the time, and they betted on the right horse because they walked away with so much money. I read somewhere that the Space Jam merchandise netted over $6 billion.
And probably is still coming up because I still want a Toon Squad jersey, and I'm probably going to get one.
Our friend, a mutual friend of ours, Esco, has a Toon Squad jersey.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Esco is living like the best 90s kid life as an adult. All right. Last question I got for you before we talk about our kids. So as we know, there is a Space Jam 2 coming out.
Yes.
This Space Jam 2 is featuring LeBron James and Bugs Bunny. We do not know much else about the movie besides that it's supposed to premiere in 2021. LeBron James is considered the best NBA. Well, he was considered the best NBA player in the NBA right now. Now it's arguably Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard, or somebody else that you may want to throw out there. And there have been tries to have Space Something happen after the original Space Jam. But what's coming out is Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
My question to you, Mark, is what would have actually been a better Space Jam 2? And I will share you my thought first.
So real quick, can I give you my pitch scene that I came up with in Space Jam 2 that I hope is in it?
Yes, let's hear your Space Jam 2 pitch scene.
So we established that someone, it may not be the Monstars, they're back, and the Looney Tunes need LeBron James's help to play basketball. And in this universe, the Space Jam is a known thing, right? So LeBron James grew up knowing about that because Michael Jordan showed up in a spaceship at a minor league baseball game. So
and the world shook. Yes.
In the world technology and culture has changed. So everyone grew up knowing about the Space Jam, right? So LeBron's about to help Bugs Bunny with the new Space Jam. He's about to be the new player coach. They get a knock on the door. They open the door. It's Jeremy Lin.
Oh my God!
Right, and Jeremy Lin is like, "Oh, LeBron, I heard there's a new Space Jam. That thing that's happening when those players lost their talent back in the '90s. I think maybe that's what happened to me.
Oh no!
And maybe they took my talent." And LeBron James stops and he looks at Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny just slowly shakes his head no.
Did LeBron look concerned? Like, maybe it is.
He's like, and he just slowly shakes his head no. And he looks back at Jeremy Lin, and Jeremy Lin's like, oh, okay. And he just closes the door.
Yo, why are you coming at Jeremy Lin like that, bro? Oh, man. You can't be Jeremy Lin.
No, wow. You know what, man? I'm sorry. Jeremy Lin is a great guy. I wish him all the best. I don't know why when I heard there was a Space Jam 2, I was like, man, that would be so funny if that happened in Space Jam 2.
We're not going to get a better scene than what you just described. we are not. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. So back to the question.
But okay, a better Space Jam. Honestly, man, I don't know what could have been better, but I'll tell you this, when I was a kid, I was expecting a Space Jam 2. I just thought it was naturally going to happen, and I thought they were going to go football.
Ooh, describe it.
I thought like 96. So who was like 96? So what? It'd probably be the Dallas Cowboys, right? Or
Brett Favre was probably winning something around that time.
Brett Favre. I mean, the Green Bay Packers were doing their thing. I honestly, I don't have a plot for it, but I just thought that was the next step. It'd be Space Jam, Turf Edition or Space Zone or Into the Space End Zone. I just thought naturally that was because who wanted to see a Space Jam baseball movie? No one. And was Wayne Gretzky still playing?
Yeah, he was still around that time.
A Space Jam hockey would have been good, but I just thought football was the natural progression.
It would have been Bo Jackson.
There you go.
Bo Jackson Space Jam.
There you go.
Or Space Zone, as it were.
Yeah, I think the Bo Jackson probably would have been perfect for it, but yeah.
So I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that if you are actually going to replicate Space Jam with like an athlete at the height of success and popularity as Michael Jordan, but to match it and not using Tiger Woods because golf. Then to me, it would be Serena Williams playing a doubles match, and her partner is SpongeBob SquarePants.
Now, why SpongeBob?
Why SpongeBob? Because it's not like who watches Looney Tunes, bruh? Like, we're talking about like a historic show that like kids who are grown up are watching and appreciated. The longest running cartoon that's still running is SpongeBob.
True. Honestly,
so I would have gone Serena Williams playing doubles with SpongeBob as a partner, playing whatever character SpongeBob and his people would have to fight against.
You know what's funny? In the height of the 90s, late 90s, you said Tiger Woods golf. I don't think they would have went that route, but I tell you what, man, a Tiger Woods golf, Looney Tunes, Caddyshack type of movie probably would have been really funny.
I would have paid for it.
Yeah, I would have definitely paid to see that.
I would have seen it. Who knows? I might see it now. I might see it now. That don't sound that bad at all.
It doesn't sound that bad. But yeah, like, you know what? With Space Jam 2, it has to be LeBron James. And that's the thing, that LeBron is the truth. Real quick, Mike or LeBron, and this is a loaded question, but who do you think is
really the best? Loaded question, Mark. You can't just put that at the tail end of the Space Jam, the Space Jam podcast. You're just gonna throw out there like, oh, let me just bring in this 2-hour barbershop argument towards the tail end of our Space Jam podcast.
Well, here, can I give you my answer then? And just So I think physically, LeBron is probably a more dominating person on the court, right? I think he will never match, and it's not a dig on him. Michael was the culture in the 90s. Like Michael Jordan, like it was you better eat your Wheaties, like I want to be like Mike. Like LeBron has never hit that, and he never will, and it's not his fault. It's just we live in a different world. And I think that just says something. Like Michael was culture in the 90s. And it's two different time periods, two different people, two different types of players,
Yeah, I'll say this. With LeBron James, I would like to be like LeBron James because of who he is as a person. Mm-hmm. I needed to be like Michael Jordan. I needed to be like Michael Jordan. The way he played, the way he walks, the way he talks, what he wore, what he sold. I needed to be like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I would like to be like LeBron James. There's a difference. There's a difference. And I'm not going to answer that question. So to wrap up, Mark, we've talked about Space Jam, the movie, the album / soundtrack, the shoes, the cultural impact it's had on our lives, that still has had an impact on our lives. Yeah. Now our children. If you were to introduce Space Jam in all its glory to Kosi, how and why would you introduce that to Kosi?
Man, like the funny thing is, like, I really love this movie, but I don't see myself like being like, all right, sit down. You're gonna watch this with your daddy. Like, if we're sitting down together and it comes on TV, which probably won't happen in the future because no one watches TV anymore. I tell you, man, it's kind of sad. I don't see, unless I'm watching it out of pure nostalgia and she walks in the room, I don't see myself like making it a point to share this movie with my daughter. And it's not a dig on the movie. It's just that, like, it had its time, it had its place, and it's not like she's gonna miss anything from not having it. Now, I'll tell you this, because Space Jam's 2 coming out, by the time it comes out, I think our kids will be, 4?
I should know that. Yeah, around 4.
I think they'll be like around 4. So if she wants to see that, then I might be like, oh, well, this is the one before that, But other than that, if like she doesn't sound like she has an interest in seeing Space Jam 2, I don't see myself really going out of my way to introduce Space Jam to my daughter. Sadly,
I am right there with you, Mark. I do not think Ian would be interested in watching Space Jam. He has no affinity towards Michael Jordan. He has no affinity towards Bugs Bunny or any of the Looney Tunes. Now, if you were saying this is Elmo with Russell Westbrook, this man is fully invested. If you're saying like Elmo and all the folks on Sesame Street and his favorite basketball player, which is Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant interchangeably, he likes both of them, was playing against some alien monsters, my son, he will find the money. He don't even need me. He will find the money and make it there, and he will sit front row.
Get a job himself.
He will get a job. He was like, yeah, I'm here for the Space Jam. But like all these other folks, even if I tell him like the impact it had on me, he'll be like, okay, like, cool. Is this why you have these sneakers in your house? Like, or in your closet? He just wouldn't really feel it like that. So yeah. I don't know if I'm going to introduce this to him. And I think the same scenario that you said, if Space Jam 2 is something that he's interested in watching, then I'll be like, all right, well, here's the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
So I will say this about Space Jam 2, man. Little, I guess, pseudo prediction. Drake will have a cameo.
Ooh.
Drake will definitely have a cameo.
Let's put $5 on it.
$5. Drake will show up somewhere in Space Jam 2. Drake will be on the Space Jam 2 soundtrack.
Oh, I believe that. No,
he will be on the Space Jam 2 soundtrack, and the Space Jam 2 soundtrack, it will be fire.
You think so?
I think it's gonna be fire.
Ooh, okay. How about this? I do believe Drake will be on the soundtrack, so I will not bet you money. I do not think Drake will make a appearance in the movie, and I'll put $5 on that. Okay. And when you say fire, will you say, because we're going to talk money, right? I'm going to put money down on this. Are you saying it's going to be as good as the original Space Jam soundtrack? No. Okay.
But I think it'll be a solid album like Creed or Black Panther or Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's going to be like solid, like one of those three.
Would you? Oh, solid. So you're saying that the Space Jam 2 soundtrack is going to be on the same level as Black Panther or Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
I'll put $5 on that too.
Okay.
Right.
And then my last little prediction, we only get a Michael Jordan cameo depending on Michael's mood.
No way in hell are we getting a Michael Jordan cameo. No way in hell. Unless it's through a montage or like something. Michael Jordan is not showing up to that movie.
Look, if Michael's in a good mood the day of and they catch him on a good day, he might show up to the Warner Brothers studio. Other than that, we'll get some type of like thing with his initials on it. Bugs Bunny will have like a ball, or LeBron's gonna pick up a ball that has like Michael's signature on it. Unless they catch Michael on a good day, he ain't showing up to be in Space Jam.
Do you know how good of a day they're gonna have to catch Michael Jordan to be in Space Jam 2? Michael ain't touching the car that will send him to the Warner Brothers lot so he could then make some type of appearance. That unless he is the star of the movie, this man is not doing nothing for LeBron James.
This movie made over $250 million, and Michael said no to part 2. He's like, nah, no. Nah.
And we all would have watched it.
We would have watched it.
So no, Michael Jordan will not be in Space Jam 2. And if he is, I'm going to go watch it. I am going to go watch it. And I will bring my son with me.
Oh, me and Coach will be right there with you, man.
Y'all will be sitting next to us. And we'll have a big old thing of popcorn.
Listening to the Drake soundtrack. The Drake on the soundtrack. Six God is parents.
Six God. And we are going, and I will buy the soundtrack, and I will be playing it from my phone on the way to the theater.
Do you understand how dope the Drake Space Jam 2 single is gonna be? Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. And Meek Mills will be on the soundtrack.
Can you imagine Meek Mills yelling about Space Jam? It's gonna be fire.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
I might owe you $5. All right, I think that's it, sir.
All right, man. Well, hey, it was a pleasure. Again, Nels, why don't you tell the people where they can reach us and how they can contact us? And real quick, we want to hear from you guys. If you have any suggestions for movies, if you have any comments, if you have any fan mail, if you have any hate mail, we would love to read it on air and just get a sense of what you guys think about the pop cult community and what you want us to talk about.
All right. So you can find us on all social media at Pop Cult Parent. That's POPCULTPARENT. You can email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And I know what we're doing next month. We already have it on the docket. Not going to say what it is because Mark, I'm looking at him right now and he's like, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. So I will say it may be a video game.
Okay. I still don't know.
Maybe a video game. Like I still don't know. But yes, that is it, everyone. And thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being a part of our Space Jam review. And please, oh please, do not forget to join the cult.
Peace.
Peace.
Go home, folks.